Just your typical 4-hour college football game that as Sooner fans you've just come to expect. And might sound spoiled by saying this, but you've come to expect by and large Sooner victories, and you got another one. And a big one on a Friday night in Morgantown, a game that saw a shitload of points. 115 combined, but thankfully Oklahoma had more than West Virginia. 59-56 in another game for the ages, and a game in which, once again, you are blessed as a Sooner fan to have KYLER Murray as your quarterback. I mean, he was only the starting QB for 1 year for Oklahoma because naturally next year he's got baseball. Okay, he's got that in his future, and best of wishes to him, unless you know something I don't know. And, of course, the year's not over yet with the Big 12 title game and a major bowl game coming up. People might be thinking, well, KYLER Murray had the fumble earlier in the game. They might be thinking, okay, well, he had an interception to start the third quarter. I don't give a damn. What KYLER Murray had was a consistent night, a night in which KYLER accounted for 4 touchdowns, a night in which KYLER Murray led the Oklahoma Boomer Sooner to cue ball out there, and another thriller as KYLER Murray delivering, and of course the gutsy call by Lincoln Riley. Maybe it wasn't so much of a gutsy call as a big call late in the game with the Sooners, cradling that 3-point lead, 4th down, just beyond midfield. I say big call, maybe not gutsy, because of the fact that if you punt the ball, well, West Virginia is probably going to score anyway. They're probably going to score anyway. Big call to have KYLER Murray be patient, because initially nobody open, but got protection, and then finding his receiver for the first down, and there you have it. The Sooners were able to deliver. We'll talk about the defense in just a little bit, but of course, this Sooner offense, that first half, that first quarter, doing everything that they had to do. Second quarter, delivering again. And again, props to the Oklahoma offensive line for those big holes, providing for Kennedy Brooks, for KYLER Murray. Didn't see too much of Trey Sermon tonight, but once again, you saw Kennedy Brooks with some very hard-ass running, refusing to go down and having a very big night. And for Kennedy, 182 yards rushing off 21 carries, and had that long down run. West Virginia's defense, trust me, has just as many issues as Oklahoma, and that was shown. And, of course, the thing about football is, it gets tougher to play defense as the game goes along, because you're figuring, fatigue and those offensive linemen, just beating on you. So, again, I can't say enough about the Sooner team. And, again, the defense, we're going to get into some discussions later because, again, they had bad moments. But for tonight, we have to commend them on a few good moments as well. But we'll get into that a little bit later on. West Virginia, yeah, they outgained Oklahoma tonight. In fact, the Mountaineers had 704 yards of offense. The Sooners had 668. I don't care, okay? Will Greer had a massive night tonight, over 500 yards passing. Had better statistics than KYLER Murray. Don't care. You know why? Big score is all I care about. And again, the Sooners, 7-0. They've never lost to West Virginia since the Mountaineers 7 years ago joined the Big 12. But again, you're thankful for KYLER Murray. You're thankful for Hollywood Brown. He had a big night. Him and Gary Jennings, which we'll talk about later, both had over 200 yards receiving. It was, again, a video game type night as far as the yardage and definitely as far as the points. And, of course, the Sooners have a big game coming up. And how about this? It's going to be unusual because you're going to play Texas not only in a stadium that's not called the Cotton Bowl, but you're going to be playing them in the month of December, and you're also playing them, too, for a Big 12 championship directly going to the winner. So next week's going to be crazy. And those comments that Brecken Hager, the Texas linebacker, made about a week ago about the Sooners' defense sucking, which, of course, they do, but, having to basically apologize for what he said. Are you kidding me? The Big 12, they're stupid for putting a reprimand on him. You know what? He's entitled to say that Oklahoma sucks. Just like Oklahoma fans are entitled to do this and say Texas sucks. That's part of football. It's part of robbery. We'll get into more of that next week. But the Sooner offense, as impressive as the 59 points were, as impressive as KYLER Murray was, that last drive where you're needing to kill the clock, where you're needing to get enough yardage to make the Mountaineers burn timeouts and to not punt and to go for it and then get another first down after that, thanks to KYLER, who, by the way, had over 100 yards rushing too. That's big time. So the Sooner offense, by and large, doing what they've done the entire season, and that is put up big numbers in another game in which the Sooners rushed for over 300 yards. I can't emphasize how important that is, that you have to run just as well as you pass in an offense that has just set all kinds of records, not only for points per game, but also 2 yards per play with 8.8. Now, the defense, God. I was good, okay? I didn't yell at the TV too much tonight, okay? But is anybody surprised that the defense gave up what they gave up, okay? A lot of points and a lot of yards, okay? That's a broken record, okay? That's just like Groundhog Day. We see it all the time. The safeties tonight were terrible for the Sooners, okay? Coverage was a big problem. Bookie, the guy looked like he was lost. And Gary Jennings, the West Virginia receiver, you know, all he had to do was just sprint down the field. He didn't have to do anything tricky with these routes. He was going to get open. So just a major problem, once again, for the Sooners, just trying to make basic coverages. It wasn't happening, okay? Having said that, though, there were moments tonight where the Sooner defense, you're like, damn. They can force turnovers. Damn, they can even get scores. And damn, Caleb Kelly, you know, he showed up. I mean, it's been a bad year for him, okay? You know, he's had horrible practices. He's not been able to figure into that starting rotation. But tonight, you know, he contributed. He had, I think, 3 tackles for loss, and, of course, got that, you know, was able to, in the second quarter, on a particular play, bulldoze the guy in front of him and then strip Will Greer, who had a hell of a night, and then force a fumble. And then Kelly himself ran it for a touchdown. And then later in the game, we saw Curtis Bolton, thanks to pressure from the Sooner defense. They scored on another defensive touchdown. So for all the bad things that the Sooner defense has done throughout the year, and again tonight, it was an eyesore statistically, but there were times in which they came up and not only made contributions on the field, but on the scoreboard too, and they needed those 2 touchdowns. They needed those 2 touchdowns big time in a game in which you just, until those last couple of minutes, you didn't know who was going to be the winning team. You know, West Virginia's got a terrific team, but just like Oklahoma, they got a defense that lacks a lot to be desired. And I thought one huge play that will be talked about, especially if you're a Mountaineer fan, the illegal block, the blocking out of bounds when it was really unnecessary, because West Virginia, they're about to retake the lead. They're about to have 1st and goal at the 3. Instead, it's a 15-yard penalty, and that backs West Virginia back up to their own territory. And we know what happened soon after that, the Oklahoma second defensive touchdown, which at that point gave them a 10-point lead. West Virginia fans will be thinking about that for a pretty damn long period of time. It's just one of those things. It's an old adage that goes back to the Jim Valvano NC State Wolfpack college basketball days of 1983 when he said 3 words: survive and advance. And that's what the Sooners are doing. They're surviving and advancing, and now they get to face the only team that's beaten them this year, the Texas Longhorns, and you have to commend Tom Herman. You have to commend that Longhorn team. Yeah, you know, Kansas made things interesting down the stretch, and you know, Texas only won that game by 7. But remember, Oklahoma didn't exactly blow Kansas off the face of the earth. The Sooners had problems against Kansas despite getting the W. So Texas, they're going to get a shot at trying to beat Oklahoma twice this season. Again, it's going to be at Jerry World. I think the kickoff's going to be late morning, 11 or 11:30 from Arlington, December the 1st. With the winner claiming the Big 12 title, and the Sooners are going for a 4-peat, okay? They're going for a 4-peat, and we'll see this time if things turn out to be on the Crimson and Cream side. It's going to be a lot of trash talk, a lot going on next week. And in the bigger picture, if you're a Sooner fan, as we get ready to wrap this up, root like hell for Ohio State, okay? Root like hell for them to beat Michigan tomorrow at the Horseshoe. Because if Michigan wins tomorrow, I promise you they're going to beat Northwestern the next week. And any thoughts that the Sooners have as far as the CFP, the college football playoff, you can flush them down the toilet, because if Michigan and Oklahoma finish 12-1, Michigan's going to the playoff. Okay, Michigan's going to the playoff. It's that simple. If Ohio State should win tomorrow and then win the Big Ten next week, it's going to be close, okay? It's going to be close. At least you have a shot. And, of course, the best case scenario, will be for Northwestern next week to beat either Michigan or Ohio State. Then Oklahoma would all most likely get into that college football playoff, as long as, again, Bama takes care of business next week against Georgia in the SEC championship game. You can't have multiple teams out of the SEC get in and expect Oklahoma to get in. The Sooner defense, for the most part, ugly once again, but at least tonight they had a few tackles for loss. They came up with a couple of big turnovers that resulted in the instant touchdowns, okay? So it's still a bad defense, but at least tonight they helped out when needed the most. And for the Sooner offense, business as usual. And KYLER Murray, man, he deserves the Heisman so much. Of course, Tua is going to win it from Alabama. But, man, KYLER, he handles game-time situations, the big moments, like a champion. And for 1 year, Sooner fans, we got to see his greatness, and he'll never be forgotten. And here's some more good news, too. Get to see him play next week and get to see him play in the major bowl game as well, hopefully the college football playoff. But we have to see how things play out this weekend from Columbus, Ohio, and definitely have to see how things play out a week from Saturday when the Sooners and Longhorns get to rematch. Oh, boy, going to be a lot of fun. Sooners 59-56. Just a reminder, I'll have my weekly matchup show coming up. Also next week, my 3 picks, me against the almighty coin. Our final show of the year, by the way, in which each of us will pick 3 games against spring. By the way, there's an interesting comment. Defense played well, but we have to get stops on 3rd and long. Yeah, West Virginia tonight on 3rd down, I think, was like 12 of 18. And it wasn't just 3rd down, but it was like 3rd and at least 9 or more. And again, Will Greer, he knew that Gary Jennings was going to go streaking down the field, and he knew that Jennings was going to be open. So the Sooners have got to get that fixed. And maybe they can't fix it. Maybe, again, the formula is just let KYLER and company do what they do what they've done all year long and just rack up the points. And the defense, Squirrel finds a nut every now and then. And tonight it found a nut twice by getting 2 defensive touchdowns. Maybe, just maybe, the formula will have to be there. You can't get 2 defensive touchdowns every game, of course, but again, an occasional stop or 2 or 3, it was enough tonight. It was enough for the Sooners to get out of Morgantown against a very worthy opponent in West Virginia. And once again, they hand Dana Holgorsen another L in the loss column. 59-56. Congratulations, Oklahoma. Now it's time for the Big 12 Championship against those guys from Austin. Week from tomorrow, December the 1st, from Jerry World in Arlington. Boomer Sooner.